NVDA Big Picture, looking at the monthly, I love to look left for historical data, right? Let's just see what NVIDIA has done before. So anytime we get these monthly candles where it's moving sideways like this, it is moving up and down within a range for sure. But what I love is once NVIDIA does this for a bit, look what happens. We get a nice big push one way or the other. So what we're doing right now, we're doing the same thing. We're really traveling sideways. You can see how these monthly candles are just one inside of the next, right? And we have been coming up and tapping the upper trend line, and we have a lower trend line now as well. So this is turning into a bit of a squeeze. We can see October, we have room yet again to do the same thing and travel sideways a little bit more. But what I love is the potential that we have a big breakout coming shortly. So let's just see what happens. NVIDIA is definitely building to a move. Hopefully we get a breakout next month, one direction or the other, but we do have room to hold inside one more month. Let's just see how NVIDIA responds. Looking at the weekly chart, so we've had some big drops off this trend line. We've tapped it for a 50-point drop, we tapped it for a 30-point drop, and so we just tapped it and dropped again. Something to keep in mind, however, is that we have created a higher low, right? So here's our low. We created a higher low here, and so we could be fairly close to the next low. We may not get much continuation to the downside because if we are creating higher lows, what I'm watching for is to see, will that push us through this upper trend line for a nice push to the upside? Or if we throw up a trend line right here, we can watch and see, will we break this lower trend line? So we can come on down and test the lower trend line at about 110, and that's going to give us yet again a higher low, which is putting us more and more inside of a squeeze, right? So I'm going to be looking this next week at that 110 area. If we get more to the downside, can we break out and see more downside, or will that then push us into this squeeze a little bit tighter, where we'll also be watching that 125 area for a break to the upside. So higher lows could mean that we're going to see that 110 area. Be watching there for a rejection or a push lower. Then looking at the daily chart, we've got the same kind of view here, but what we're looking at is we came up and we definitely tested that trend line. We got a tiny little wick above, but we just could not hold. So that what happened, we reversed and pushed right down to that lower trend line and tested that area on Friday. So we're definitely getting into a squeeze right through here with not a lot of room. So Monday, I'm going to be watching that 126 or that 120 area to see, can we get a breakout in either direction? We're definitely getting tighter in this squeeze with a lot less room to move. So those are some areas to keep in mind moving into next week. And let's just see, can we get a nice breakout, or are we going to stay within these zones and continue to see some chop?